Commander Jack Nelson stared at the strange symbols dancing across his screen. After 3 minutes, the computer finally translated the alien message. He read it twice, then pressed the emergency button. "Sir, you need to see this," Jack said when Admiral William Green appeared on the video call. "This better be important, Nelson. I was in a meeting." "It is, sir. We've received a message." "Not from any human colony." The Admiral's face changed. "You mean?" "Yes, sir. First contact." 30 minutes later, Jack stood in the main conference room of Earth Defense Headquarters. The room was filled with military officers, scientists, and government officials. All eyes were on him. "The message came through our deep space relay near Alpha Centauri," Jack explained. "It identifies the sender as something called the Galactic Council. According to the message, this council includes 32 different alien species." A murmur passed through the room. Dr. Susan Miller, the lead xenobiologist, raised her hand. "Did they share any biological data?" "No, just a warning. They say we've entered restricted space and must stop all space exploration immediately." Admiral Green frowned. "Restricted by whom?" "We've been exploring space for decades without issue." Jack pulled up the full message on the main screen. "They claim to have governed interstellar politics for thousands of years. Their representative, named Zorb Nax, says are faster than..." Admiral Frank Cooper paced the length of the war room. 3 days had passed since the Galactic Council's threat, and he needed answers. "Lisa, what have you found?" he asked. Military analyst Lisa Ramirez looked up from her tablet. "Something odd, sir. I've been studying the ship designs we captured from long-range scans. Their weapons are advanced, but the designs haven't changed in what appears to be hundreds of years." "Stagnation?" Frank asked. "Exactly. No innovation. It's like they found something that worked and stopped trying to improve it." Frank nodded and turned to the next person at the table. "Peter, your assessment." Engineer Peter Johnson pulled up a hologram of an alien ship. "Their vessels have 3 major weaknesses. First, their shield generators are all clustered in one location. Second, their communication systems aren't well protected. And third, their weapons draw power in predictable patterns we could exploit." The Admiral smiled for the first time in days. "Good work, Diane. What about intelligence?" Officer Diane Watson tapped a series of files onto the main screen. "I've compiled data from our deep space probes. The Council appears to operate on a hierarchy. Older species at the top, newer ones at the bottom. And there's evidence they've deliberately prevented emerging species from developing advanced technology." "How so?" Frank asked. "Missing civilizations," Diane explained. "We've found ruins on 7 planets that show signs of promising species that suddenly vanished right as they developed space travel." A chill settled over the room. Peter spoke first. "They're eliminating competition." "Or control it," Lisa added. "The lower-tier species in the Council seem to provide resources and labor while having minimal say in decisions." Frank turned to the final person at the table. "Alan, you'll be leading our diplomatic response. What's your plan?" Diplomatic envoy Alan Garcia straightened his jacket. "I'll request a face-to-face meeting at a neutral location. Even if they're planning to attack, standard protocol gives us time to prepare while talks proceed." "And if they refuse to meet?" Frank asked. "Then we know their threats are serious, and diplomacy was never an option." The Admiral nodded. "While Alan works the diplomatic angle, we prepare for the worst. Peter, I want you working with our engineers to exploit those weaknesses you found. Lisa developed tactical responses based on their stagnant patterns. Diane, dig deeper into those missing civilizations." As the meeting ended, the door opened and Dr. Susan Miller walked in carrying a sealed container. "Admiral, we've analyzed the biological samples from that abandoned Council ship we found near Neptune," she said. "And?" Frank asked. Susan placed the container on the table and opened it carefully. Inside was what looked like a piece of alien tissue preserved in clear gel. This is from a species called the Drax, one of the Council's military enforcers according to the ship's records. Their biology shows signs of extensive genetic manipulation. Lisa leaned forward. They engineered themselves. Yes, Susan said. But here's the interesting part. The modifications reduce adaptability in favor of specialized abilities. They sacrificed evolutionary potential for immediate advantages. Frank's eyes widened. Are you saying they're genetically locked into their current state? That's exactly what I'm saying, Susan confirmed. They can't adapt quickly to new threats or environments. Humans, meanwhile, are among the most adaptable species we know of. Peter smiled. No wonder they're worried about us. Frank stood up and looked at the star map on the wall. Earth was just a tiny dot in one corner. The Council territory spread across vast regions of the galaxy. We'll proceed on 2 tracks, he said firmly. Publicly, we prepare for peaceful negotiations. Privately, we ready ourselves for war. If they want to threaten humanity, they should know what they're getting into. Diane nodded. And what are they getting into, sir? Frank's face hardened. A species that has never accepted limits placed on it by others. A species that thrives on challenges and grows stronger from them. He looked around at his team. If the Galactic Council wants war, they'll soon learn it's the last thing they should have asked for. Alan Garcia adjusted his collar as the airlock hissed open. The space station Nexus 7 hung in neutral territory between Earth-controlled space and Galactic Council borders. Behind Alan stood Lisa Ramirez and Captain John Murphy, completing the human delegation. Remember, Alan whispered, stay calm no matter what they say. The 3 humans walked into a large circular room. 7 alien beings waited at a curved table. Each looked entirely different from the others. Some had multiple limbs, others had strange skin colors, and one appeared to be made of living crystal. The human delegation is recognized, announced a tall blue alien with 4 arms. I am Zorbnax, first speaker of the Galactic Council. These are the representatives of the Drax, Eldar, Vex, Quarren, Malosian, and Trilly species. Ellen bowed slightly. We thank you for agreeing to meet. I am Alan Garcia, Earth's diplomatic envoy. With me are military analyst Lisa Ramirez and Captain John Murphy. The alien made from crystal, identified as the Eldar representative, spoke in a voice like tinkling bells. The Council has existed for 12,000 years. In that time, we have maintained peace across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Your species has been spacefaring for mere decades. You are children playing with dangerous toys. Lisa kept her face neutral but made mental notes of each alien's body language and tone. Ellen smiled. We may be new to interstellar travel, but humans have a long history of peaceful coexistence with those who treat us with respect. The Drax representative, a reptilian creature with armored skin, made a harsh sound. Respect is earned through time and power, not granted to untested newcomers. Your kind has expanded too quickly. You take resources and establish colonies without understanding cosmic balance. We explored uninhabited systems, John said, speaking for the first time. We claimed no worlds with intelligent life. All systems are under Council jurisdiction, Zorbnax said flatly. Your ignorance does not excuse your trespass. Aelin leaned forward. What has happened to other species who refused Council demands? The room fell silent. The aliens exchanged glances. They understood the wisdom of our guidance, the Malosian representative said finally. Those who did not are no longer concerns. John noticed how 3 of the representatives shifted uncomfortably at this statement. Not all Council members agreed with their policies, it seemed. Humanity has achieved in 50 years what took other species centuries, Zorbnax said. Your rapid advancement is destabilizing to galactic peace. How is our progress a threat to peace? Lisa asked. The Vex representative, a small gray being with enormous eyes, replied, Unpredictability leads to chaos. Chaos leads to conflict. Elen looked directly at Zorbnax. We came here hoping to establish diplomatic relations. We are willing to discuss fair boundaries and trade agreements. You misunderstand, the Drax representative growled. This is not a negotiation. It is notification of your options. Submit to council authority, or face extinction. John watched the aliens carefully. When humans asked questions or challenged statements, several council members showed surprise or confusion. They weren't used to being questioned. We need time to consult with our government, Alan said smoothly. You have 30 standard rotations, Zorb Max declared. The council has voted. This meeting is a courtesy, not a discussion. The Eldar representative raised a crystalline hand. Be warned, humans. The last species that defied a council edict suffered complete extermination. Your weapons are primitive compared to our fleets. Alan stood tall. We will relay your message to Earth. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Zorbnax issued a final statement. The Galactic Council formally declares its intent to war against Earth should you fail to comply with our demands. 30 days, not one rotation more. Walking back to their ship, John whispered to the others, Did you notice how surprised they were when we didn't immediately surrender? Lisa nodded. These beings aren't used to resistance. Alan looked grim. They've just made a terrible mistake. Humans have never responded well to ultimatums. The alert sirens blared across Earth Defense Headquarters. Admiral Frank Cooper rushed to the command center, where Commander Jack Nelson was already reviewing sensor data. Unknown ship just appeared at the edge of our solar system, Jack explained. It's using some kind of cloaking technology we've never seen before. Hostile? Frank asked. Unclear. It's small, not a warship, and it's broadcasting. A request to talk. Before Frank could respond, the main screen lit up with an alien face. The being had pale blue skin, large eyes, and no visible nose. People of Earth, I am Krell of the Centauri. I must speak with your leaders immediately. We don't have much time. 20 minutes later, Krell sat in a secure conference room. Dr. Susan Miller studied the alien with fascination, while security officers stood nearby. The Centauri were reported extinct 300 years ago, Krell said. That's what the Council tells everyone. In truth, we've been hiding. Hiding from what? Susan asked. From the Council. They tried to exterminate us when we refused to join them. Krell's large eyes blinked slowly. We were once like you, curious, innovative, expanding rapidly. The Council saw us as a threat. Frank leaned forward. Why come to us now? Because you're making the same stand we did. But you might actually win. Krell tapped a device on his wrist, projecting a hologram of the galaxy. Small lights blinked across it. These are other species secretly resisting Council rule. When we learned humans had defied the Council, we decided to contact you. How many species are we talking about? Jack asked. 17 are actively resisting. Dozens more suffer under Council restrictions. The room fell silent as humans processed this information. The Council's military power is mostly illusion, Krell continued. They haven't fought a real war in centuries. Their technology is advanced but static. They don't innovate anymore. Peter Johnson, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. Could you help us enhance our defenses? Krell nodded. That's why I'm here. My ship carries Centauri engineers willing to work with humans, and I brought technical data that could help you prepare. What do you want in return? Frank asked suspiciously. A new home. And a chance to defeat those who nearly destroyed us. Krell's voice hardened. The Council doesn't just conquer. They deliberately keep other species weak through genetic manipulation, resource control, and cultural suppression. Susan's eyes widened. That explains the genetic limitations we found in the Drax samples. Within days, Earth's headquarters became a hub of activity. Centauri engineers worked alongside human technicians. Soon, other ships arrived secretly, representatives from the Gorlan, Plex, and Tuveri species, all offering help. In a laboratory, Peter Johnson watched as Centauri technician Vex modified a human weapon. "Your shield technology is actually quite innovative," Vex said. "With some adjustments, it can resist Council weapons much better." Meanwhile, Diane Watson met with representatives from 3 other species, creating an intelligence network. They shared Council patrol routes, communication frequencies, and security protocols. "The Council hasn't changed these codes in 50 years, explained a Tuveri operative. "They don't expect anyone to challenge them." In the main hangar, Admiral Cooper surveyed the growing fleet of modified Earth ships. "How many Council vessels should we expect?" he asked Krell. "They'll send a small force first, a demonstration to frighten you into submission. They don't expect you to fight." Jack smiled. "Then we'll give them a surprise." Later that night, Frank addressed Earth's Defense Council. "We're no longer alone in this fight. The Council has oppressed species across the galaxy for millennia. By standing up to them, we've created hope." President Eleanor Wright nodded. "Then we don't just fight for Earth." "No," Frank said. "We fight for freedom throughout the galaxy. And our new allies believe humans might be the ones to finally break the Council's grip." Susan Miller looked thoughtful. "They've never faced a species so adaptable, so willing to cooperate with others, and so stubbornly resistant to threats." "That's our advantage," Frank said. "The Council expects fear. Let's show them something different." Red alert warnings flashed across every screen in the Mars Defense Center. Captain Nicol Evans watched as 27 alien ships appeared at the edge of Mars orbital space. They moved in perfect formation, their sleek designs meant to intimidate. "All personnel to battle stations," Nicol ordered calmly. "Deploy ships according to Admiral Cooper's strategy." The Earth Defense Fleet had been hiding behind Phobos, one of Mars' moons. Now 15 human vessels moved into view, appearing deliberately outnumbered. The largest alien ship broadcast a message. The translator converted it to English as a reptilian face appeared on screen. "I am Commander Drexelar of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division," the alien announced. "Your time has expired. Surrender your colony and disable your weapons, or we will destroy every structure on Mars." Nicol straightened her uniform and looked directly at the alien. "This is Captain Nicol Evans of Earth Defense Fleet. Thank you for your visit to Mars. However, we must decline your offer." The alien blinked in confusion. "This is not an offer. This is your final warning." Nicol nodded politely. "We understand. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss before you leave our territory?" Drexelar's scales darkened with anger. "You dare mock the Council. We have destroyed civilizations older than your recorded history." "No mockery intended," Nicol replied. "Just a simple decline of your demands. You may leave peacefully now." The alien commander roared something untranslatable and cut the transmission. "They're charging weapons," reported Officer Ben Lewis at Tactical. Nicol tapped her console. "All ships, execute Formation Delta. Ground defenses online." The human ships suddenly scattered in what looked like panic, but was actually a carefully planned maneuver. The Council ships followed predictable pursuit patterns, just as the Centauri had predicted. As the alien vessels separated to chase the humans, Nicol gave the next order. "Now." From the surface of Mars, hidden defense platforms activated. Based on Centauri designs, but enhanced by engineer Peter Johnson, they fired electromagnetic pulses tuned specifically to Council shield frequencies. 3 alien ships immediately lost power and drifted. The others continued their attack, but their formation was broken. The battle unfolded exactly as Admiral Cooper had planned. The Council ships used outdated tactics, firing in predictable patterns. The human vessels were more nimble, using the gravity of Mars and its moons to maneuver in ways the aliens didn't expect. "They're targeting the colony dome," Ben warned. "Activate the shield," Nicol ordered. When the alien weapons hit the colony dome, they met the new shield technology developed by the human Centauri teams. the energy dispersed harmlessly. On her private channel, Nickel heard surprised comments from her crew. Their weapons aren't as powerful as we feared. They're not adapting to our maneuvers. It's like they're following a script from an old war game. The council commander grew increasingly frustrated. His ships began firing wildly, wasting energy. Nickel's forces stayed disciplined, targeting specific systems that the Centauri had identified as weaknesses. 2 hours later, 11 council ships had been disabled. 6 more had retreated. The remaining 10 regrouped for a final attack on the colony. "They're going all in," Ben said. Nickel nodded. "Time for our surprise." From behind Deimos, Mars' other moon, 5 more human ships appeared. They had been held in reserve, waiting for this moment. They carried the most powerful weapons Earth had developed with their new allies. The council ships hesitated, clearly not expecting this development. In that moment of hesitation, the human fleet struck with perfect coordination. When it was over, the council fleet was in retreat, having lost nearly half their ships. The human fleet had lost only 3 vessels, and even those crews had managed to evacuate. As Nicole watched the council ships flee, she received a message from Admiral Cooper on Earth. "Well done, Captain. How did they perform?" Nicole couldn't help smiling. "Exactly as our allies predicted, sir. They relied on intimidation and outdated tactics. When those failed, they had no backup plan." "Any message from their commander?" "No, sir. Just a hasty retreat." Admiral Cooper's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. "Make sure our allies get footage of this battle. Let's show the galaxy what happens when the Council picks a fight they can't win." Nicole looked at the view screen showing the damaged and retreating alien ships. "I think they're already learning that lesson, sir." Zordnax watched in stunned silence as the recording of the Mars battle played for the 3rd time. Around the circular council chamber, representatives of the 32 species showed various signs of distress. "Impossible," hissed the Drax representative. "Humans are primitive. They should not have defeated our ships." "Yet they did," said the Eldar representative, her crystal form glinting in the chamber lights. "Perhaps we underestimated them." The Vex delegate, normally quiet, spoke up. "This footage is spreading across all council worlds. The lower-tier species are talking." "Silence them," the Drax representative demanded. "We cannot silence an entire galaxy," the Eldar replied. "The damage is done. A council enforcement fleet was defeated by a species barely a century into space travel." Zorbnax slammed his 4 hands on the table. "Enough. We must decide our response. Do we negotiate with these humans, or do we crush them completely?" The chamber erupted into arguments. Younger council species advocated for peace talks. Older, more powerful members demanded immediate military action. "They must be taught their place," the Drax representative snarled. "I propose we deploy our main battle fleet without further delay." "The full council must vote on such action," the Eldar reminded him. "Then let us vote now," the Drax said. While the council debated, a smaller ship approached Earth under a flag of neutrality. Inside, Trelvox, a mid-level council official, prepared to commit treason. The slim, green-skinned alien had watched humans stand against impossible odds and felt something long forgotten: hope. When his ship landed at Earth Defense Headquarters, he was met by Admiral Frank Cooper and Intelligence Officer Diane Watson. "I bring information," Trelvox said without preamble. "The Council is fracturing. Many species secretly admire your resistance, but the Drax faction is pushing for full-scale war." "Why are you telling us this?" Diane asked. Trelvox touched a scar on his neck. "The Council executed my family for suggesting reforms. I've waited centuries for someone to challenge their rule." He handed them a data crystal. "Complete schematics of Council warships, defense codes, and patrol routes. The Drax are preparing their war fleet without proper Council approval." Back in the Council chamber, the vote was deadlocked. 16 species for war, 16 for negotiations. The Drax representative stood. "While you debate, I act. Our battle fleet has already begun preparations. We will crush these humans, and any who support them. On Earth, Dr. Susan Miller made a breakthrough. She rushed into Admiral Cooper's office where he was meeting with Krell and Trellvox. "I've analyzed genetic samples from 20 council species," she explained. "They've all been engineered for specific traits, but at the cost of adaptability. They aren't naturally stagnant. They were made that way." "Made by whom?" Frank asked. "By themselves," Susan said. "The oldest council species modified their genetics for specialized abilities, then did the same to species they conquered. They sacrificed potential for immediate power." Krell nodded sadly. "The Centauri refused genetic improvements. That's why they tried to destroy us." Frank turned to Trellvox. "How many ships in the Drax War fleet?" "Over 200, but they move slowly and follow traditional formations. They'll target Earth directly to make an example of you." Admiral Cooper smiled grimly. "Then we'll be ready for them." Across Earth, humans and their alien allies worked tirelessly. Peter Johnson directed teams installing new weapons on Earth's ships. Captain John Murphy trained pilots to exploit Council weaknesses. Diane Watson coordinated with resistance cells on 20 Council worlds. That evening, Earth broadcast a message to every corner of the galaxy. President Eleanor Wright stood before the camera, her voice strong and clear. "To all sentient beings under Council rule, we fight not just for Earth, but for the freedom of all species to determine their own destiny. Join us in creating a galaxy where cooperation replaces domination, where diversity is celebrated, not suppressed. The Council fears our differences. We embrace them." As the message spread, ships from 4 previously neutral species arrived at Earth, offering alliance. The revolution had begun. In the Drax Command Center, their war leader watched Earth's growing coalition with mounting rage. "Launch the fleet," he ordered. "We will crush these humans and their allies with one decisive blow." His second-in-command hesitated. "But sir, they seem prepared for us." The Drax commander laughed. "What can primitives prepare that would stop the greatest fleet in galactic history?" He was about to find out. The massive Drax War fleet moved through space like a metal storm. 212 warships, representing 70% of the Council's military might, advanced toward the Sol system. Their hulls gleamed with weaponry designed to shatter planets. At the edge of Earth's solar system, Captain Nicole Evans commanded the first line of defense. Her fleet seemed pitifully small, just 35 ships positioned near the orbit of Neptune. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Ben Lewis at the communication station. Nicole nodded. "And our special units?" "In position and silent, as ordered." The Drax fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel exactly where Earth's allies had predicted. Their formation was impressive but predictable, a classic Council attack pattern unchanged for centuries. The Drax commander's face appeared on the main screen. His reptilian features showed disgust as he regarded Nicole. "I am Supreme War Leader Exer Cole of the Drax Dominion. Your pitiful resistance ends today. Surrender Earth now." Nicole looked calmly at the alien. "This is Captain Nicole Evans. We respectfully decline." The alien commander seemed genuinely confused. "You are outnumbered 6-1. Your destruction is certain." "Perhaps," Nicole replied, "or perhaps not. Is that all you have to say?" The Drax commander roared in anger. "All ships, attack." The battle began exactly as Admiral Cooper had planned. The human fleet engaged briefly, then appeared to retreat in disarray. The Drax forces, eager for victory, pursued them deeper into the solar system. "They're taking the bait," Nicole reported to Earth Command. As the Drax fleet passed Jupiter, Captain John Murphy's signal activated. His squadron of 20 stealth ships, hidden among the gas giant's moons, powered up and attacked the rear of the Drax formation. The Drax commanders were shocked. Their sensors hadn't detected the hidden ships, designed with technology from the Centauri and other allies. "Continue the plan," Admiral Cooper ordered from Earth Command. Draw them toward the main trap. The human fleet retreated toward Mars, apparently in desperate flight. The Dracs pressed their advantage, not realizing they were being led precisely where Earth wanted them. When the battle reached Mars orbit, everything changed. 50 ships from formerly subjugated species appeared from hiding spots around Mars and its moons. The Centauri, Corlin, Plex, Cuvari, and others joined the human defense. The Drax commander's voice betrayed his shock. Impossible. The Centauri were exterminated. We got better, came the reply from a Centauri captain. A combined fleet attacked with perfect coordination. They targeted the weak points identified by Trollvox and the other defectors. The Drax ships, designed for overwhelming force against inferior enemies, had never been tested against equals. Still, the Drax outnumbered them. The battle hung in balance until Nicol gave the final command. Deploy the EMP weapons, Earth's secret weapon, developed by Peter Johnson with help from 5 alien species. Activated. Massive electromagnetic pulses, specifically tuned to Council technology frequencies, rippled across space. Drax ships began losing power, their systems failing one by one. Target their flagship, Nicol ordered. Boarding teams ready. Lisa Ramirez led the boarding party onto the Drax command ship. The alien crew, expecting to be killed, were shocked when the humans took prisoners instead of executing them. Lisa reached the bridge where Supreme War Leader Exer Cole stood in defiant rage. "Kill me and be done with it," he snarled. "That's not how we operate," Lisa replied. "You're a prisoner of war, entitled to humane treatment." The Drax leader seemed unable to process this. "But we would have destroyed your world, killed your people." "Yes," Lisa said, "and that's the difference between us." On the main Earth command screen, Admiral Cooper watched as the remaining Drax ships surrendered one by one. Of the mighty Council fleet, 87 ships had been disabled by the EMP weapons. 45 were damaged but operational. 30 had been destroyed when they refused to surrender. The rest had surrendered. The combined Earth Alliance had lost 27 ships total, with most crews surviving in escape pods. President Eleanor Wright joined Admiral Cooper as reports confirmed their victory. "The Council's main military force is defeated," Frank said quietly. "But this is just the beginning. The galaxy is changing." Eleanor nodded. "Send a message to all ships. Tell them humanity thanks them for their courage." Across the solar system, humans and their alien allies celebrated. The impossible had happened. The Council's reign of suppression was cracking. On the captured Drax flagship, the Supreme War Leader watched in disbelief as human medics treated injured Drax soldiers with the same care they showed their own. 6 months after the Great Battle, Earth looked different. Ships from dozens of alien species filled the skies. New buildings with strange architectural styles dotted major cities. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing knowledge and culture. Admiral Jack Nelson, recently promoted after Commander Cooper's retirement, stood on the podium in the newly constructed Galactic Cooperative Assembly. Before him sat representatives from 87 species, former Council members, liberated worlds, and neutral systems that had joined the new alliance. 6 months ago, we faced extinction, Jack began. Today, we celebrate a new beginning. The Galactic Council is no more. In its place, we establish the Galactic Cooperative of Free Species. Applause filled the massive chamber. Humans cheered alongside their alien allies. Even some former Council species showed enthusiasm for the new order. "Our founding principles are simple," Jack continued. "Each species has the right to self-determination. No technology or knowledge will be restricted. We will defend each other against aggression. And most importantly, we will embrace diversity rather than fear it." From her seat in the assembly, Dr. Susan Miller watched with pride. The Xenobiology Center she now led was helping species recover from centuries of genetic manipulation. Many former Council races were discovering their potential for growth and adaptation once again. "The Council believed uniformity created stability," Jack said. They were wrong. Our strength comes from our differences, our unique perspectives, our varied approaches to problems. In the audience, Peter Johnson sat next to Vex, his Centauri colleague. Together, they had created technologies that neither species could have developed alone. Their work was just the beginning. Humanity doesn't claim leadership of this cooperative, Jack emphasized. We are simply one voice among many. The days of hierarchy and domination are over. Lisa Ramirez, now Earth's security coordinator, scanned the room. Some former council members still looked uncomfortable with equality. Change wouldn't happen overnight, but it was happening. To those who once threatened us with war, Jack said, we offer friendship instead. To those who tried to limit us, we offer unlimited potential. And to those who thought we would surrender to intimidation, we say, was that really all you had? Laughter rippled through the assembly. Even some former Drax representatives joined in. After the ceremony, Jack walked through the diplomatic reception. Aliens of all shapes and sizes mingled, forming connections that would have been impossible under council rule. Captain Nickel Evans joined him, holding a drink of blue liquid. Quite a change from 6 months ago, isn't it, Admiral? Jack nodded. Hard to believe they thought we'd just surrender when threatened. Fear was their only real weapon, Nickel said. Once that failed, they had nothing. Across the room, Jack spotted a familiar blue face. Zord Nax, the council representative who had first threatened Earth, now stood alone, watching the proceedings. Jack walked over to him. Welcome to Earth. Zord Nax seemed surprised at the greeting. You accept me here, after what I did. We don't hold grudges, Jack said. Your knowledge could be valuable to the cooperative. I don't understand your species, Zord Nax admitted. The council believed power came from control and limitation. You give freedom to everyone, even former enemies. Jack smiled. That's because we learned long ago that the most powerful force in any universe isn't control, it's potential. Every mind you free, every species you allow to grow, multiplies what we can all achieve together. Zord Nax looked around at the diverse gathering. The council existed for 12,000 years. How did humans undo it in less than one? We didn't do it alone, Jack said, gesturing to the room full of aliens. All these species were waiting for someone to stand up and say no to intimidation. We just happened to be stubborn enough to go first. As the reception continued, Earth's night sky filled with lights from ships of every design. Former enemies became allies. Former slaves became equals. Former tyrants learned new ways to exist. And humanity, the species that had started it all by simply refusing to bow to threats, found its place not as rulers of the galaxy, but as catalysts for something far greater, a civilization built on freedom, diversity, and unlimited potential.